let's talk about Breakwater. What can you describe? How would you describe the series as well as your role?
Um, Breakwater is a very cool series in the future, dystopian world. It has to do a lot with climate change, immigration, the refugees and all that stuff. Um, I play Jax. I portray Jax, the son of a billionaire who built this wall that is ultimately keeping people out, and it's very unfortunate. He doesn't really know too much what's going on until he kind of gets to the other side and starts to sympathize for a lot of these individuals. And his perspective and views change, his intentions change. He's in a state of desperation throughout the entire series, so making it like very high paced and quick, and you have to be decisive, and everyone did a great job that worked on it, and I'm very proud of it because of the fact that I am an immigrant myself. So it was cool to be a part of of a show that highlighted diversification, climate change, because I think that's important, and also immigration, and all those things along those lines. I think they generally did a great job on that.
Yeah, and what was it like, working on a project, in this like dystopic future, considering like we were all the things that went through the past 2 years with the pandemic, and people, thinking about the future, and even now with we're going on through a refugee crisis right now, and that's some of the stuff that this series kind of touches on too. So how does it feel to have worked on a series that kind of has real life parallels? I mean, it's not in the future, it's not the futuristic aspect of it, but
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
still
yeah.
it's you can still relate to what's going on now.
Yeah, I mean, it was a weird time. I mean, besides other than being in Mexico and feeling relieved to finally individually and personally have something going on, like that was a fresh breath of air, because we all experienced 2020, we experienced 2021, and obviously it wasn't those aren't years to glorify but to learn from. And in terms of immigration and refugees, I felt like it was appropriate to for this show to be highlighted now on Snapchat, especially because of Snapchat has a wide Gen Z population, that it's an audience, it's a huge audience. And, when it comes to climate change or immigration, I feel like those are the people that are going to learn more about it as these problems get solved or not. So these are the ones that are going to have to deal with, eventually with these obstacles. And for me as an immigrant, to be able to tell the story, it was so relevant because you go through life oftentimes and people they neglect that part of themselves or others. So to be like the son of a billionaire, right? Not that I'm not, unfortunately, but it was definitely like it opened my eyes because you put yourself on the complete opposite side of the spectrum, and you just it almost feels irrelevant to you until you put yourself on the other side of the wall, and you have to really sympathize with these refugees because you become one of them, for so like Jax, my character, I feel like he was there. It got to the point where the billionaire facade was no more, and it was just more about really understanding what these people are going through, understanding what his sister is also fighting for, and being guided by, what, like a street rat, my who's out there out and about and really knows how to be street smart. And also it's like she's fierce as a woman. So and I also think that's very important, having someone that it's leading the show and it's not in a cliche way talking
Yeah.
about great topics, but also it's you have a strong female lead, doing it and putting the male in a position to learn, because it's just vulnerability at its finest, if you ask me.
Yeah, yeah. And because this was a Snapchat set project, did you did you approach this project any differently than you would like your traditional film and TV
Yeah,
project?
like I didn't really have too much of a process going into it, I didn't want to overthink the technicalities of it because the truth is the truth at the end of the day, and it's the directors and the DPs, and it takes a village to capture that. However, we did note that, things were very vertical, so we couldn't go too wide unless they had a wide shot on a vertical lens, and those are things to consider. But then again, you're underwater, you're cold as shit, dude, and you're having the time of your life and the physicality of it all. I'm very thankful for the environment that they created for us because you felt like this extreme amount of pressure. You're under this physical, I guess, process that you're not thinking about acting or whatever. Like you're really swimming underwater trying to figure out the situation, and like I believe I had this sweater on. It was great. I loved it. And then when I would get into the water, it would weigh like 1,000 pounds. So it's like you're not thinking about the outside world. You're just in it to win it because it almost feels like life or death, and you're just happy that they get a good take at the end of the day.
Yeah, yeah. And I spoke about how you're, such a rising young actor in Hollywood, and you spoke to your experience of being an immigrant, how that, deals kind of with things of the show. How would you say the past few years you've been able to navigate Hollywood as a actor of color, as a Latinx actor?
You know, um, it's really a beautiful thing, personally for me, because there's a point there where you feel like we are neglected until we're not. And I'm not the only one that now is up and coming in Hollywood or whatever you want to call it. But I'm very happy to see that other individuals are shooting their shot and actually getting the shot. I'm just a kid that used to play around in the Dominican Republic barefoot, and I would play baseball, but it was with a broomstick and I couldn't afford a ball. So it would be with like a little cap from one of those 5-gallon jugs, so for me to see like on the show those kids doing the same thing as well, and like meanwhile the world is ending and they're just so naive to the point that they don't know, like that was me as a kid, and to be here doing what I love most in Hollywood, identifying that passion. I try to navigate it with authenticity, because I feel like, don't want to sound cliche, but I come from Dominican Republic. It's a very small country, and anybody that makes anything happen from that country is greatly appreciated. So it almost feels like I'm the voice for the voiceless, or someone that you know can speak on its behalf, and I'm trying to utilize my platform more for that, so that I can be in tune more with my immigrant self. You come here at 10 years old and you start to become Americanized, and then you start comparing yourself to American cultures, knowing that that's not even your culture. And it's just you just going back to the roots honestly helps me stay centered, if that makes sense. And
Yeah.
honestly, going back to my roots allows me to bring authenticity that I haven't seen on screen, because it's not like you see a Dominican saying Dominican lines every day on a TV show or a film, and it was like moments like when I did 13 Reasons Why, and that was a big one because I noticed the impact that had on me, when there was a line where I'm like, oh, I'm not Mexican, I'm Dominican kind of thing. And
Yeah.
because it was like continuously getting bullied, or he got shoved into a locker by a cop while everyone else didn't, or whatever it may be. Those were topics that happen today, day to day, those are things. And I knew, like I felt the impact that had on my people or people around the world that also felt the same, and so I went with that those are my intentions, just to be my most authentic self, and also what can I bring from my heritage, my culture, my immigrant self to the table. I have an accent, I can turn it off and on, but naturally it's always on because that's just who I am. I Spanish is a first language. So, I can't wait to do a film in Spanish all the way through one day, and just so that my grandma and my people in DR can understand it completely, and but it's just about finding my place within the industry itself. And I'm still trying to figure that out, but I'm enjoying the ride. And I've been so lucky and blessed. 2021 was one hell of a year. And to be able to do projects like Breakwater, it just it just showed me how much more I have in my arsenal. Sorry for the long answer, but
No, you're fine. You're fine.
it's thoughtful, and it taught me it allowed me to figure out more of what I can do as an individual, not just as an individual, but also as an actor and what I can bring to the table. Creativity, I felt like, you know, this being a show about immigrants and stuff, and me not necessarily playing one, but I felt like I was listened to, which was very cool. And it just, opposed to feeling pressure of trying to get the scene right or whatever, you feel more of like excitement because your creative self is actually coming out and it's being respected, and you're waiting to see, you can't wait to see what actually is the thought that works,
Yeah.
the thought, so like
Yeah.
it's just go into it with that excitement.
Yeah. And aside from Bridge and Tunnel,
Yes.
I was about to say Bridge and Water. I don't know. I don't know why. I don't know why
It's the
that's in
breakwater in you, man.
I don't know why that's in my head. But aside from Bridge and Tunnel, you also were recently in Tall Girl 2, which is your biggest film role to date. It's also on Netflix. It's totally a one of the big young adult teen movies on the platform. So what was that experience like, being able to be in that movie? And because I feel like those films have such cult followings, like Tall Girl and Kissing Booth, and all those different teen
Yeah,
romance
yeah,
films
totally.
on the platform. So what was that experience like?
It was very cool because I remember I shot Tall Girl, then I rushed to LA to squeeze in like a short film that I did with a couple of my buddies. That went super well. And then I went straight to Mexico to work on Breakwater. So every experience is so unique, because I didn't grow up as a dancer, I didn't grow up as a singer, but I did have that in my arsenal as well because I did theater, so on stage you have to be big and you have to be bold, and I was able to kind of just like tap into myself a little more on my artistic side, really, on Tall Girl too. And I felt like that was a very cool experience, sharpening my instrument, dancing every single day, singing every single day. No, but it was great. It was definitely a more controlled environment in the sense that you're sending a specific message, and it's YA, it's PG. You have to color within the lines, you know, because not so much is at stake in terms of like, I'm not desperately looking for my sister because she got abducted kind of thing, and it's action packed, but it was genuine, and it was a great experience through and through as an actor, to be able to have like a good team, like of choreographers and vocalists. And, also you had the whole acting side of things, but, sharpening yourself as a dancer, feeling like you're Ryan Gosling in La La Land or something. I don't know. That was a cool experience itself. And then you go to Breakwater. I felt like Tom Cruise, it's completely different. It's
Yeah.
which is cool because you get to play both sides of the field. You get to play this lover boy or whatever you want to call it, and also this action packed, desperate person. And it was just very cool. I That's why I feel like I'm the luckiest person in the world to be working with, these kind of directors, and being involved with Netflix and being involved with Snapchat. I mean, I grew up using Snapchat, so and never in a million years that I think I would be working with them. So I'm so grateful.
Yeah. And thinking towards the future, what are some aspirations you have like over the next few years? Where do you see your career going after this?
Um, you know, luckily I'm at a point where it's just about being particular about what's next and finding something where the challenge is it's just there and frightening, but also going at it with a fearless mindset, because I feel like that's how you get the best performance out of things. I see myself, tapping into my more immigrant self little by little, how we brushed up, therefore, becoming more international opposed to just American based, because, I feel like there's a lot of international films that need more attention, and you had a couple years back, you have a film like Parasite that just made rounds and rounds and made a lot of noise in the Academy Awards and all that stuff. And it's good because whether it's Asian or Spanish or whatever it may be, Korean, it's like a voice for the voiceless of films that need to be seen, because there's a lot more out there than just Hollywood, Hollywood, I feel like it should be a worldwide meaning at this point, and that's how I want to see it. I want to bring more cinematic magic to Dominican Republic because I know there's a lot can happen there. It's a touristy spot, but also a lot of films shoot there. And unfortunately, personally, I feel like we don't get credited enough for that. And I want to be able to be that voice. I say, hey, no, look, this is shot here. If more people come here, like this is your new Hollywood in a way, and make it international. So as long as I continue to do great work that I'm really passionate about, and also make some form of a difference if I can, for my country, then so be it. I live out in America. I love America. I love everything that it's done for me. It's taught me everything that I know. But I'm never gonna get rid of my roots because that's why I came here for. And the fact that I am a Dominican, it only motivates me more to become some form of an international actor that can create international opportunities, while being in an American market, so that's just how I see it. Thinking way down the line, but just having fun throughout the process, still
Yeah.
figuring myself out and my place within it all, but definitely enjoying the journey. I believe it was 6 projects I did last year. Yeah, so so it's you don't at this point it's not about rushing it, we know where we're going to go. It's just about really meaning what we put out there. Like really, really being all in. Um, and if my heart is not 100% in it, I most likely won't do it because film lasts forever, and I want my kids to see this, and when they watch it, I want them to know that like I was really devoted to that, and that is my craft, and I care about it. And if I go to Dominican Republic, I want to experience the same thing. I want people to know that I really, really care about cinema in this country and what it can do, for the economy of the country, and all those things. So, and also for the little kids that were just like me, running around barefoot, and eating plantains and all that stuff, giving them high hopes and dreams, and I think that's very cool.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Well, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to chat with me. It was really a pleasure, and I promise you, like, I literally remember your character in Runaways. So I was so mad when he got killed off because I was like, there's so much opportunity here. And then keep in mind at the time, like, I didn't know that Marvel Studios was going to basically like undo all the Runaways and like all the non-Disney plus. I didn't at the time. I didn't know they were going to basically tie all the movies and films together, and basically those weren't going to like exist in a little Hulu bubble. But at the time, I was like, this is a big character that needs to be explored. So I just know I was very tight and pressed when you got killed off of Runaways.
Yeah, I mean, it was very interesting because we shot it so many different ways. They were like,
Uh-huh.
okay, now leave your eyes open. Okay,
Uh-huh.
now close your eyes slowly. Okay, now just breathe while you still close your eyes, kind of thing. So then,
Yeah.
therefore, it's like you don't know what's gonna happen because they have all
Mhm.
these different options as to how the story can go. You're in the Marvel universe. There are times you just don't even know what to expect.
Right.
Yeah, yeah, I can't comment on their decisions. It is what it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank
Well,
you so
thank
much,
you
man.
so
Appreciate
much
it. Of
for
course, thank
chatting
you.
with
Pleasure.
me and continue rising, continue staying booked and busy. And I can't wait to see what you do next.
Thank you, Trey. I appreciate that, man. God
Thank
bless.
you.
All right, stay safe.